hello, hello. I am Christy Abel here to provide a crash course in what it's like to be a manifestor. But before we begin, I'd like to recognize and appreciate that I'm coming to you from the traditional territory of the Sawasan, Musqueam, and Coast Salish peoples. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to live, to work, to play, and to learn here. So let's begin, fellow manifester. Okay, in this video, you are going to learn the basics. Again, this is a crash course. It is not an in-depth course on human design. The basic of what it means to be a manifester, some details about your energy type, how to employ your strategy in your daily life, and it is a game changer. How to know when you're in alignment with your human design, how to know when you are not, and then we'll wrap up with how we can start to use tarot as a natural accompaniment to being a manifester. So, constants, okay, there are four, but three areas of the chart beyond your energy type that are going to be have in common all of the time. So these are the ones that I'm going to cover. They're your energy type, your strategy, your sign, and your not self theme. Now, the rest of your chart is going to make you different from all other manifestors. And those things are your profile, your authority, your incarnation cross, your manifestation process, your strongest sense, your emotions, your gene keys and gifts from the universe. And there's probably even more, but once again, basic overview. So, and also I'm not going to go into that stuff because it's not true across the board for all manifestors. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the energy type, and it's how your energy functions. We are here to initiate, yo. And I'll bet you, okay, a like and subscribe to this video that you feel validated and more clear about who you are after watching this video. Okay, so that's my little dare. Like and subscribe if you feel more validated after this video. All right. Sparking movement. And usually, like, we don't even know what we're doing or trying to. And then what happens is when we spark that movement or that whatever we're initiating, it then gives other people the ability to respond to it, which is like 70% of the population, and then decide if it's for them or not. And you don't have to figure out how to do this. What we just need to do is follow our desires and interests because those are unique to us, right? Not everybody is supposed to be a plumber or a doctor or a YouTuber or although we probably are, supposed to be YouTubers because it's all about informing for the most part, right? And but then the right people are going to come along for the ride and the wrong ones are going to hop off. Okay, so, and this is a really, really important piece of being a manifester. Not everybody's supposed to like us or what we're doing. And I've certainly felt my fair share of that. But when you get permission for that to be what's supposed to happen, it's like you stop caring what other people think. It's amazing. It is so liberating when we start to engage in our design. So this is why it's so important to authentically be yourself, right? Like, so I've watched dozens of other tarot readers on YouTube, and I know I'm not going to be like any of them. As far as I know, I'm actually the first tarot reader to ever combine it with human design. And thank you for the download, right? To do that. And so it's really important that we also understand that we're the cause and everybody else is the effect. Don't tell the other types, but we're the only ones that really, really get the clear downloads from source. Okay. It's crazy, but it's true. Okay. So we have this strong sense from birth, like who we're supposed to be, which is pretty like wild and playful and like not out of control, but like not wanting to be controlled. And so manifestors can be very difficult to raise. My parents somehow knew to let me do my own thing for the most part, as long as, of course, I was polite and I wasn't mean or whatever, minus age 13, because, well, I work with teenagers. So most of us have been there, I think, in the teenage world. Okay. So we already know this, but it gets socially conditioned out of us. And actually, most of us get conditioned into being people pleasers, which I certainly was till I was about age 23. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, anyways, I just was reading something about life cycles and the number 23. And there was a major shift for me at 23. That's a long story for another time that'll probably come out in tarot. But I stopped caring the F about what anybody thought about me. And I started to embrace who I was. And again, some people were like, oh, I don't like you. And I was like, okay, see ya. Bye. And it's just gotten more and more powerful and independent since then, even though I only discovered human design like 4 years ago, right? No, not even, it was like 3 years ago. And my spiritual awakening started about 4.5 years ago. So it is very likely, as we are raised, that we are praised for like holding back, for being obedient. But really, our job, according to human design, our stamp is to do whatever we want in this role, like being attracted to your desires. And that, of course, as long as it doesn't hurt yourself or other people. Let's have that caveat there. I'll throw in some psychology, confidentiality stuff there. All right. So I've been told most of my life that I take up a lot of space in the room. And I always just thought, oh, it's because of my big personality. That's true, but it's also because of my big old impenetrable aura, which you also have. So, because others can't really get in, things like bounce off of us, right? We naturally take up more space than the other energy types. So, one of the secrets is to not shy away from this, but actually embrace that this bigness is there and trust that it's there to help others. It's not there for our ego. It's not there for our own personal gain, although that can happen when we help others, right? That's how we get rewarded often is you when you give, you receive, right? So, anyways, but the moment that you start to go, stand unapologetically in your power, again, not in ego, but in your power, people will start to take notice, right? And notice people, other people noticing you, okay, is part of what activates your purpose as a manifester. We are supposed to influence, okay? We are supposed to be influencers, right? Now, that doesn't mean that generators and manigens and reflectors can't be, or projectors can't be influencers. That is not the case, but it is literally part of our type. They just have to go about it in a different way. We just get to do it. Like we don't have to learn how to work with our human design. It's just built in for us. So we often have this kind of feeling as we are, again, like going through our lives, and I'm like, I just want to do what I want, right? Like, why can't I just do what I want? Like, that's a very big question that we ask ourselves all the time. And I think my power just went out. Wow. Okay. Did it? Yes. Wow. Okay, pause. We're coming back. Okay, we're back. Actually, what happened is my lighting got too hot, so I just needed to change out the little cord. Nobody's perfect, Dick ain't perfect, so we're just going to keep plugging along. All right, so manifestors often become unintentional leaders. It's interesting, I have been a very intentional leader throughout most of my life, but not everybody is like that as a manifestor. So when we when we do what we want and we let other people see us doing it, that's when it catches the attention of the people who are meant to partake in it or not. When I'm just starting to go through other, again, other YouTubers, because of course, like I'm interested in what other people are doing, and I'm really delving into what it means to be a manifestor. So I'm watching videos on like manifestors in business and manifestors in relationships, and that's super helpful, right? When you give yourself to self permission to do what you want to do, it gets the right people on board with no effort from you. Okay, so you might watch this and go, you know what? Christy and Tarot and HD are not for me. And that's okay. I'm cool with it, right? Because you're not supposed to. But if you are into what I'm doing and what I'm saying, then you are the right person to jump on board. And if you're like kind of, you might just give me a chance and be like, oh, I wonder what she's going to do. Right. So our words and actions have this like self-selection mechanism that'll automatically go like bucket one, bucket two, bucket three for where people are going to fall, right? So number one is you'll attract the right, and I hope this is you, but you'll attract the right people towards you because they like they want to hear what you have to say. They want to hear how that you're going to inform, right? And then they'll work with you. So if you are in business per se, whether it doesn't really matter what kind of business you're on, right? Because you need to attract new customers whenever it doesn't matter. Sales are the heart of all business. And so some people are going to buy, some people are going to think about it, and then some people aren't. Some people are going to be like totally put off, right? So, and the second bucket is you'll like ruffle some feathers because they're like, oh, I feel kind of uncomfortable around this, but maybe I'm still drawn to it, right? And like change is always slightly uncomfortable, right? Like it always is. So when we get out of our comfort zone, the proverbial comfort zone, you got to get out of it, that kind of thing. It's true. You cannot be comfortable and grow, right? Like you have to, you can like incrementally, right? But some of the, the biggest and like the biggest tower moments that we have often lead to the best growth and change, right? And then some people are just going to go, yeah, whatever, right? Like they're just not meant to connect with you. And when you get over your, oh, everybody has to like me, which was the thing that I had going on before 23, age 23, is I just wanted everybody to like me. And then once I stopped caring about that, number one, my relationships got so much more meaningful and deep because I was being more authentic to who I am. And my vibe was attracting my tribe, right? Like that's how it works. So when you look at life this way, you're like, oh, wait a sec. It's okay if somebody doesn't like me. They're not meant to. It's like this whole permission to go and do whatever you want without fearing the judgment of others. Because man, oh man, manifestors feel judgment real deep, okay? Real deep. And it's one of the reasons that we keep ourselves hidden if we're still doing that, right? So if it's impossible for you to please everybody, why would you care about number two or three? Just focus on number one. So bigness, okay? Bigness is quite misunderstood. It's okay, so our energy is intense and it's big, right? But it doesn't mean it's loud or aggressive or ego driven or whatever. It's being just unafraid to stand in your power. And that's if you are whether you're in an emergency room, doctor or nurse, or you're a janitor or a teacher or a stock clerk person, like it doesn't matter. It's when you are standing in that power and then you radiate it out in the world by using your energy, right? Instead of adapting it based on this. Now, there is some socially intelligent things to do, which is no, I'm not advising you to be a bull in a china shop and just go and force your way in. That is that kind of like negative way of understanding bigness. It's more about just yeah, standing in that power. Okay, I'll expand on this in the tarot readings for sure. Okay. So don't take it personally when other people can't keep up with you. Okay. Like my family, I have a partner and two kids, and they're all generators and they operate very, very differently than I do. And as soon as I found out they were all generators, I started communicating with them differently. And wow, like our house became a lot more seamless, right? So since there's only 9% of us, we shouldn't judge others or take it personally when people can't keep up to us unless they're also manifestors, right? Then in which case it's like, right? Like I only personally know a couple of manifestors and I know a lot of people. so throughout your life, you've probably received messaging about it's better to be small, right? Like don't stand out. Don't step up, like stop raising your hand. One of my tricks, I have lots of education. I have 4 university degrees. And one of my tricks is always like, go first. right? Like, and I advise this, I'm like, first of all, reduces your anxiety, right? Because everybody else, you're done once everybody else is going. But I would always just answer a question at the very beginning. So I was like, I was done. But I'm almost always the person who goes first because I want to. And I'm just like, go ahead. I have no problem being the first person at the buffet line, right? When anyone wants to share, now what I do is I wait, I count if I'm like in a meeting, because I do lots of spiritual development stuff, and not all, most of them aren't manifestors as far as I know. And so I will count to 5 in my head before I raise my like Zoom hand. But I'm still often going first because somebody's got to initiate it. Somebody's got to go first. Okay. So why shouldn't it be you? All right, I already talked about the people pleaser thing. I already talked about the judgment, the criticism thing. Yeah, so because we maybe have been scrutinized in the past for it, again, this is your permission slip to let that go and start initiating. Okay, so when you start to do this, you start to attract a life where, like, it's so interesting. You'll get a reverence and support. I mean, again, be socially intelligent about where you're doing it. I always tell the kids that I work with, I'm a counselor, mostly with youth. And I say to them, I'm like, listen, you behave differently in PE class than you do at Thanksgiving dinner with grandma, right? Like your language is going to be different, your tone is going to be different. We still want to do those things. Just know that it's okay to go first. Okay. Strategy. Oh my God. Okay. So when I first found out I was a manifester, it was from I was listening to a Manifestation Babe podcast. I was very focused on manifestation for a long time. Now it's just a natural part of my life, but that's actually how I kind of, well, is how I put my toe into the esoteric world in terms of informing. Was I started teaching courses on manifestation through the Spirit Essence Collective, which I am part of. And I loved it. And it taught me all about how to do it. I've like, anyways, doesn't matter. But I once I discovered how to that, so it was like about a year and a half into my spiritual awakening, I was actively listening to Abraham Hicks and actually making decisions based on my emotions, which is my actual authority. We're not going to cover that today. But you can find out more about that in my human design overview, which I'll link below. Okay. It is our strategy is to inform. And it's basically to just talk about what you're doing all the time, right? I won't get into the basic, there's lots more to it. And again, there's lots of YouTubers out there who have made great videos about the manifestor strategy and whatnot. Okay. So we are supposed to pursue our urges. So what we're called to create, what we're called to do, these urges are not random. They're part of your universal design. They're the things that have sent me in the direction of teaching and counseling and now tarot and YouTuber because I love to share what I know. Now, it can also be like telling my partner, I am going to the store now, right? I'm not asking permission because manifestors don't like to ask permission, but there are ways that we can work in our relationships where we're not just telling. There's ways to phrase things like, do you mind if I go if I take the car right now to go grocery shopping, right? Rather than I'm going grocery shopping. I need the car, right? So there's ways to soften things so that we're not really obnoxious. Depending, I guess it depends how straightforward of a person that you are, right? Anyways, so for the right people to be magnetized to you, it's essentially that we always talk about what we're doing, what we're working on, what we're thinking. So as my, my website and my YouTube channel and all those kind of things get developed, I'm posting things like, here's my new intro video and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling people what I'm doing, and I am supposed to be doing that. And it's whatever feels authentic and genuine to you, right? So again, like it could be any type of area of your life, whether it's work, life, play, rest, right? There's always things. So just start talking and verbalizing if you are physically able. If not, you better start writing, okay? Or get things into your translator, like get that in there and say what you need. So people really want to follow like people who are authentic and unapologetic in who they are. So the more that you inch towards that, the more you're going to release imposter syndrome. And actually, when I found out, after I found out I was a manifester and I was supposed to inform, I didn't look into any other areas of my chart except and for like another year when I was like, oh, I want to start teaching about human design. So I better like learn more about it. But it took away this imposter system syndrome. At the time, I was doing a lot of Facebook Lives. I was teaching what I was doing in my personal development. Again, I was just like, and it just went whoop, whoop, and erased my imposter syndrome, which what a gift that is to anybody. Your sign. Okay, so your sign is a feeling that you get in your body, mind, spirit when you are acting in accordance with your human design. And a manifestor design is peace. And so it's so I don't say like a chase peace, but I certainly recognize when I'm having it, when I feel peaceful. And I will say this, I will say in my head or I will say out loud, I feel peaceful. And I do. And then I'm like, okay, I am on the right track. And this happens when you're doing what you truly want to do, when you want to do it, with no one bothering or pressuring you to feel that way. Right. So when you're at peace, you're also, there's no like red tape, there's no underlying shoulds. Oh, I'm going to talk about shoulds a lot, right? But I will tell right now, stop shooting on yourself, right? With expectations about what you have. You know, like once you trade expectation for appreciation, your whole life will change. It is amazing. And like today I wanted to make videos. But first I wanted to go to Jazzercise and then I wanted to go to this little thrift store. And then, and then I came home and I'm like, okay, it's time to get to business with recording some videos. And this is perfect time to do it. So these are things like that are divine, spontaneous, natural urges. And then you're just trust that it's going to lead you to the right place. And when you feel peaceful, you are in alignment with your human design. And lastly, the one other last thing that is common for all manifestors is your not self theme. And this is when you are out of alignment. And that theme is anger. And this shows up in a lot of different ways. Okay. Our biggest challenge is about being unapologetically in our power. So the opposite feeling is feeling controlled. Okay. So feeling like you don't have control over your life or the situation. Now, again, we have to balance. Because I have a very A type personality and have been rewarded over and over and over in my life for being a person who is very in control and can often control the behaviors of others. I was a teacher that taught all grade 8 all the time for 5 years. That's a lot of hormones and squirrel behavior, and I was damn good at it, right? So it shows up in things like anger is not necessary. Like I'm not a yeller by any means. I almost never yell at my kids or anything like that, but they take me very seriously because I have a lot of authentic power, right? I'm also able to justify why I want when I want it all the time. And so they don't win. It's hard to the best way to win an argument with me is to use my own argument against me, just FYI. But basically, anger shows up in often ways of why won't this person do what I want? Or that's not fair. Fairness is a big thing for us. Okay. So when you do feel angry, so I always say, we always want to feel our feels. Okay. Here's a little psychology thing. Say we want it, but we need to be mindful of how long we hold on to them. So based on the situation, I will give it 10 minutes. I will give it 10 seconds, right? I rarely will stand angry for longer than an hour, I would say, because I don't like the sensation of it, right? And I know I'm out of alignment. So now when I start getting angry, let's say when something's not working, linking Instagram to TikTok. Oh my gosh. Okay. I spent way too much time on that yesterday and it's still not linked. And I am just okay. I'm out of alignment. I'm angry. And I wasn't mad or yelling. I was all internal, right? I was okay, let's start moving towards peace. What do I need to do? I need to leave this alone for now because it's obviously the 17th time I've done the same thing. And as is well documented, that's not a good way to solve your problem by doing the same thing over and over again. Anyways, so we want to accept ourselves, have our own back, take a break, And it's this internal feeling. Yeah. So, but most of all, as manifestors, we feel angry when we feel that we've been done dead wrong, right? Okay. Whew. So why tarot? Okay. So these things, your energy type, your strategy, your sign, your not self theme, they're all static. They don't change. You're not going to grow 20, age 20 years, and then all of a sudden have new versions. Actually, your whole human design stamp is static. And so, but the only constant in life is change, right? So then it's helpful to have some regular guidance from spirit. And that's where I'm going to come in with tarot. Tarot is a map for the energy that's happening right now for you, my darling, dear fellow manifester. I am so excited about this. And tarot, of course, and also, again, as I've mentioned, I am a psychologist. So I will be throwing in, I even did it a little bit on this. There was a few little Christy-isms of things that I say pretty regularly in my practice in this video here. So tarot is going to present the issues, and then I will use psychology and our human design, as well as my interpretation and intuition around the cards, to help with reflection and self-discovery, problem solving, clarity on emotions, future insights, etc. So I want to thank you so much for watching and sticking with me here. If this was of value to do,